They give this and it's not clear. I was going to ask why, because it's just, you know, he might recommend this, he might recommend that, he may have 5 different things that have to do with it. So it's not
county guy. That might be the whole issue. I want to read
I read the whole thing. Don't even start. Don't lie to everybody.
It looks like an
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. Get everybody's recorders turned on here. Within doing this, before I start the meeting, we have got to have some sort of order in here. I don't want on the front page again, me smacking his ass asking for order. That was a little embarrassing. We are not taking any comments until it's before we vote. We have got to have a meeting. We were here for hours before we even got past the first sentence. So, we are going to call to order. We will take questions before we vote, okay? So please allow us to have our meeting to conduct the business, okay? I will do roll call. Lee Richards. Here. Shane Walker. Here. Greg Nivens. Here. Randall Boswell. Here. Geraldine Walker.
Here.
All present. Need a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting held July the 3rd. Shane makes a motion. Do I have a second? Yeah, that's what I have. Randall has a second. Any discussion on the minutes? No discussion being had. All four say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise?
I have to pass, so I'm here.
All right. Lee passes. Was here. All others roll. All right. Next, approve the following appropriation resolution 2024-08-1201. The tax levy resolution 2024-08-1202, the nonprofit resolution 2024-08-1203. Connie, if you would, go over the appropriating resolution, please.
Okay, I guess Greg, you probably want to go ahead and make your recommendation because that's what these new numbers are.
Oh, the new number?
Can you speak up?
And
So which one?
on the number, on the appropriating the resolution?
All of these numbers are from what you recommended.
Page 7.
So which one is this one that you were presenting?
This is the first page. and it is the 6% cost of living increase. So that's why you guys need to review it to see if that's the way you want to go before we move forward.
Did the salary committee hasn't met since the court, how did we come up with a 6% number?
I just asked Tony, I said, we got to come up with some type of
Should
solution.
they not have went through the salary committee first instead of just one person?
No, this is a work session here, we
No,
can make it up.
this is not salary meeting, this is budget meeting.
I mean, well, that's what I said, it's budget meeting. We can-
Salary needed to recommend it to the budget, to been put in the budget before we voted to send it to full
I'm
court.
not on the salary committee.
I know you're not, so you didn't have no right to come and tell her to do a 6% increase.
I'm just trying to come up with a solution.
Well, you
Because I
kind of just should have went to the salary committee.
Because I don't think the $3 is
Well, the $3 thing, and I got no problem with the 6%, and I want to go to the salary committee, I don't come and do it yourself.
Well, I'm not, I just asked. her
Yes,
to
you
come up
did.
with- That's exactly, I asked her to come up with.
Nobody asked you anything about it, did you?
Well, that's why we're here tonight.
Did the salary committee recommend it to come to the budget committee? You want everything done in order, so let's do it in order.
I'm not, I'm trying to come up with a solution with everybody that's palatable. And all I,
We've got to have a salary meeting first, though, before we can change the numbers in the budget that's been recommended.
well, you got 3 options here. You can go with either one of them here.
Salary
And
committee.
here's what I was recommending, instead of, right now, since we're having hard times on this and we're having to pay for extra property, let me talk, okay? And the reason I come up with this was because the employees need some help. And the $3 is not gonna pass. I don't want this to go to the state because it's gonna make us look like a bunch of idiots, and I do good enough of that myself. And we need to be able to work this out and come up with a solution. That's why we're here, Randall. We need
We
to
do,
work
but it needs
it
to go through the proper committee.
Well,
Why have committees if we're not going to run it through?
out. Well, let me explain it first, and then we can run it through them. I ain't got a problem with that, but all I was coming up with, and we got 6% here, what that would end up doing, it's a 6% increase. It goes from $1.97 to $2.2524, and that's a 14% increase coming down from a 35. If you pay $1,000 on taxes a year, you're going to pay an extra $140. And I'm trying to get something that we can work with, and we can't look at the salaries right now, in my opinion, because I can't tell I don't know what each position calls for.
Look, we've got to
And that's
have.
why I said we need to go, but we can't do that in a 2-week period. So if we come up with a cost of living across the board, instead of the $3 added on to each salary, we can revisit that next year.
Well,
And
you always want everything run through the committees, but
well, you
it's got to be
can
run through.
run it through the committee. I've just brought this up as a solution. If you don't like it, Randall,
I've got
I
no
can't
problem,
go with
I
it.
got no problem with it. In fact, you look at the figures I've got right here.
Well, you tell me what you're looking
And come
at.
up with, it's gonna go to the salary committee before it's brought to the budget committee. So.
Well, I'm fine with that. But here's what my solution is, and they can run this to the salary committee, and you guys can work on it.
But that's defeating this purpose for this meeting tonight.
The thing with the 6%, can we turn over to the salary portion of this over to let's say the deputy position?
What page you on, Steve?
Trying to find it.
Back page, salary. Yeah, okay, salary schedule on the back page.
Yeah. We're on that. There it is. We got to get over to that. Oh, let's go over to all the
It's Just flip the very back, just every unit.
On page 5 in the back, is that it? Statement.
Page 5.
Page 5 in the very back. Overton County salary scale, that's Sheriff's Department salary scale.
Yeah, it's the very last page.
No, let's see.
Says Overton County Sheriff's Department.
This is officer, page 3, actually.
Okay.
Page 3, towards the back of the, yeah, it'll say OCSD salary, and then it'll say officer. Yeah, the officer. I don't know what that is. So you're looking
1690.
at a 96 cents with a 6%. And see, the only problem is the city is paying $3 more an hour now. And so we're losing them to the city as well.
Yeah, we are.
So that's a 96 cents. And the study that the sheriff had actually was like $5 or $6 increase, and we had talked about a 3 because we couldn't actually get to that 5 or 6. And this is 96 cents. And the reason why we were trying to do the 3 is because we couldn't hire anybody. It's hard to take on new positions and being a source of training. Once we get them trained, they leave and go somewhere else. But 96 cents was going to be that one, and there was over on the ambulance service. See, we're having a very hard time at the ambulance service. And out of 98 shifts available, we have 48 covered, and we have people working 36 hours in a row trying to cover these positions. And so, let's see, let me get over here. Try to find where I'm at. Here, you're looking at a 85 cent increase for an EMT.
What page you on?
We're on page 3 for the ambulance service. If you look at EMT, you're looking at 85 cent increase. And then you're looking at, for an advanced EMT, you're looking at 87. And then for a paramedic, 96. So we're struggling hiring now. We've lost 14 over family service this year alone.
Same page 3.
Another thing that I found out, and this is nothing, we could not ever do this, is Macon County, how far is like Red Bowling Springs and Lafayette from here? About an hour?
Yeah, about an hour and a half. Well, it's not that. Hour and 15.
This year, because they're in such a desperate stage for paramedics, they're starting their paramedics off at $100,000 a year. And I said, there is no way why you need to go. But that makes it hard on the little guys to try to retain, try to hire. Like Lebanon is hiring a lot of hours. Went to, I think 8 hours, was it 8 hours? Several. But that's what the 6%, what I was looking at. We're still in that ball game of
And I don't
where
disagree.
we're at now.
I don't disagree with you on that, but right now, we need like I said, we need a desk audit on all positions, on each position to see exactly what they are paid. I'm not smart enough to be able to sit here and tell what a bookkeeper makes over here, or what we need to actually do a desk audit on each position. But we, in a 2-week period before we get this in, we can't do this right now. We we need to work on that next year and try to get everybody's salaries up where they're comfortable, where they need to be. All I was just trying to do is come up with a 6% cost of living raise right now to combat the 11 and 12% inflation rate that we're all having to live through. And that's all I was trying to do. And,
See, we're so understaffed, all of our people's having to work all the overtime, they're getting burnt out. And we can't hire any new ones to give them rest, from having to work because they feel like they have no home time, no family time or anything like that because, we're begging them to stay and work so that we can cover these shifts. And we are, I mean, we're basically begging them to.
And they'll end up suffering burnout.
And that's what we're facing, and it's in the critical stage, and we're trying our best to be able to hire some, to help the ones that are working now, and, that's what we're looking at, because, if you don't hire any, they're in the same position for another year. I'm afraid that, more and more is going to go on, and we're going to be in worse shape than we are now. We're in pretty bad shape now as far as retaining employees and hiring employees.
Okay, if we pull this up to and the 6% might not pass.
I mean, I got no problem with the percentage of 6%, that's about, but I would think it should go through the salary.
Well, yeah.
And be, because,
I ain't got a problem with that.
before we sit here and say, yeah, this is what we want to do, because we've given the highway department $2 an hour, because James is giving them $1 an hour, so this 6% may not, we may not be putting none into the highway department.
Yeah, that may change. That may change.
That's why it needs to go through the salary committee.
I don't
To make,
disagree. I'm just trying to come up with a solution that we can.
I'm here some example of this, the lower we can get them, the better we'll be.
I want to make an example of this for a paramedic would have to be here 28 years to make what they would start out at the highway department. 28 years. A paramedic on this pay scale, they would have to be here 28 years to make what they start out at.
That's why we need to do on these positions. That's exactly why we need to.
And that brother been right there, in the table. Here because he loves going down. He can go anywhere and make a third more money than he's making now.
Well, all of them can.
Yeah, but I'm just using things because he's dedicated to the county. That's the reason he's still here.
I'd like to have that explained.
So if they get their $2 plus their $1, that would make it $22.50 an hour. They're at $19.50 an hour now.
Who is this
A
for?
paramedic at 28 years would be at $22.41 an hour.
Is that any employee in the highway department? No.
That's the starting off as like a truck driver or something like that. I don't have they don't have a pay scale like we have a pay scale here.
You got a man working at the highway department that has been out there for 27 years, and he makes $19.50 an hour.
That would make him $22.50. But like I said, they don't have.
They don't get years of service at the highway department
That's what I was trying-
like every bit of this does.
That's why I was trying to explain. They don't have the years of service, but you're starting them out right at the same pay as somebody that's been there for 20-some years as well.
But you got to start somewhere. I mean, you have to start somewhere, you start catching up.
Right. But this is paramedic.
Yeah, I know. And I don't disagree that they're way underpaid, the sheriff's department's way underpaid.
That's the reason why that $3 was recommended, and still at $3, I've got that table going.
Hey, Rand, Tony said we got a salary, July the 16th. I'm gonna take this. Always
Budget committee can recommend this salary.
I just didn't know what all the different scenarios.
Hey, guys, can we have order, please? Thank you.
Can you all speak up too, though, when you're talking? It's really hard to hear you. Yeah.
I'm trying.
Well,
I've got
you're pretty loud most of the time, but some of the other voices, particularly when you're looking down, it's just really hard to hear. I don't know if you guys can get a microphone up there or something.
I didn't think about it.
Hang on, let me go back to where we had that. I've got here. Because we had took that $3 back to look at it, to study over it.
Steve, while you're looking at that,
Yes, ma'am.
let me just say that since the last meeting, I did call our state representative, CPAS, and talk to her. And she did say, because, I questioned the whole time, why we had to do $3 for everybody across the board. And she did say in county government, you do always give, or try to always give the same amount of money to every employee, not just public safety.
That's not fair to paramedics. Their expertise, they deserve more.
I understand that, and that's what I said the whole time, but I'm telling you what CPAS, who is our governing body for the state, has told me. That
Is that just a
county
recommendation,
government.
though?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that just a recommendation?
No, it wasn't a recommendation. She is our person, and she said that all the counties do the same raise across the board when they give raises. That's what she told me.
That's not
Just
right.
yesterday when we talked to her.
Well, that's just, and that's why the positions need, a desk audit where it needs to be looked at, where it gets some up there. We're not there yet. And that's the whole reason I was trying to come up with the 6% this time. And then we can come back and revisit that next year when we can get somebody in here that can do that. I mean, where I worked at, we had desk audits on our positions, and they'd call you in and they'd put your job objectives up here, and then you had to meet each criteria in here to be able, if you didn't, you could possibly get your job lowered, position on it. But that's make sure that you've met everything, and here's what they call for. And paramedics are specialized, sheriff's department is specialized, bookkeepers got accounting degrees. We couldn't hire, it's hard to hire a bookkeeper up here with.
You don't pay the same for a teacher as you do a groundskeeper.
Well, I know that.
Yeah, okay.
I know, I read that, but that's why I'm just talking about 6% cost of living right now. Till we can come back and visit, and get positions where they need to be. That's all I'm saying.
And they're not gonna be making the same amount, like everybody's not gonna make the same dollar. That's not.
Now, they're just getting the same raise.
Yeah, like the federal government or they get Congress votes on the federal government every year, how much percent cost of living increase they get. Social Security, the same thing. They give you a cost of living across the board on Social Security.
Takes care of that.
Yeah.
Percent though, not a lump sum.
Yeah, but I'm not like sitting on that lot.
Hang on just a second, please. The dispatcher starting out at $11.50 an hour, and clerks are starting out around the same, and it's hard to, it's hard to hire anybody at that, and the job that they do and what we expect them out of them, because, most of them is doing the job of 3 people.
Why aren't paramedics starting out at $18, $20 an hour instead of 14?
Well, you're not on what we're talking about right now. What do you?
They're not starting out that much.
No,
I
yeah,
know,
we're talking about.
why are they not?
Where you at on that?
They, I'm trying to find the pay scale from last week.
I was about to spend some time on it.
I know a couple paramedics here that have to work second jobs because they don't make enough to pay the bills. And they work damn hard, damn good at it.
No, that needs to be.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Y'all have to get all those units and stuff every, raise every year. All the county workers do.
Hey, Steve, let's get back.
Ronnie,
Yes, sir.
you have the pay scale from the $3.
Not with me.
I thought I had it. I've got it. I'm doing it in the old packet.
Yes, it's on last week's. Or it was in the
Corrections officer.
I don't have it.
And nothing's in there.
No, it's not.
Right here. This said, okay.
Where am I at on this one? This page is different than the rest of them, that's why I was asking.
Okay, it's different because these are specific individuals, how many years they're on. Your salary schedule is different.
So this is a different paper, this is the actual. So this says 19. Okay, that's fine. This one.
Shane, you got numbers?
Well, I've got, this is supposed to right here.
It would show,
That's David, it's right. It's, so these are for years of service.
There's 30% of the county pays in prison. Can that be voted on? If we could use the plastic punches.
I'll have to get the pay scale, but we're around $16 an hour, I think. Am I not correct for a paramedic? Yeah. Oh, you got it. But so all we gotta do is, it's in here. EMT is $14 an hour.
Exactly.
And then advanced EMT is $14.50, and then paramedics starting at 16. And see, that's the reason why we can't retain them, we can't hire them. And that's why we're in a desperate shape right now. And that's the reason why we, was trying to at least do $3, and that's still under where they need to be, but that gets us, up there to where we could, retain and maybe hire some. Because, we did get Ball State this year, was able to, get Ball State to do the EMT basic and EMT advanced classes in Livingston at Ball State. Got them signed on this year. And then we're doing paramedic classes in Cookville Ball State. They couldn't move that class down here, but we can send them there. So we're trying to train them, but then you're not hiring one that's already educated. You're hiring one starting off, and then once they get trained, they're leaving. They're going somewhere else. And other counties are buying their contracts out, even though you make them sign a 2-year contract. that's why we're going. So the reason why I asked for the $3 for the emergency personnel was because of that reason, because.
Stephen, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What's that costing you to send one of them to school to get trained? And I know you're making them sign a contract to pay that back, but what's that costing up front for the county to send them?
Well, for the EMT classes, what we got worked out, it ended up being, if we sent individual people, it was around $3,000 a person, but we worked out a deal with them, so we get 12 seats at a time for $7,000. That's 12 seats, so every 12 seats is 7,000, because you have, it's 12 people per instructor. So it ends up being around $700 for people when we do that, instead of them getting college credits for it.
The reason I asked that is because I was curious if you could revise that money and push it into more of a payroll point to get more of experienced people versus trying to train new people if it pay up. But if you're getting it that cheap, it's coming down to penny.
Well, that's for EMT.
Yeah.
Now, when you go into deputies and stuff like that, it gets more expensive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Walker State ain't expensive.
You're thousands of dollars, and then, of course, you have to pay them while they go. But putting all the time, training, and then as soon as they get out, they're gone.
But Stephen, don't this all fall back on years before you was even up here that we didn't increase the pay enough as it went along?
It's been like that for years. I went down, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but one of the offices downstairs, these ladies have been here for years. And 99, 98, they were making $11,000 a year working here, $12,000 a year. They said one of the county executives come in and said they was making too much money and cut their pay. And these people are, trying to raise a family and trying to work here.
Well, we all understand that part of it.
Did you say that the highway department made more than the EMTs? Did I understand you right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you said first.
But I don't have anything to do with that. Their pay scale is their pay scale. All we can control here is the pay scale for the other county employees. They're their own entity.
So they're not going to get the $3 an hour raise, right?
That's what I'm trying to do is get the $3 raise for our employees on the county side. And in the budget, they had for the highway department to get to 2, and C911 to get $1.50, because they was going to get $1.50, because the 911 dispatcher started at $11 an hour. So it's hard. They don't have a lot of people working there either, because they can't hire them for $11 an hour. $11.50, I think is what they said, wasn't it? Y'all are on the 911 board. What is that around that price? Yeah. And so that's the reason why we were asking. I was asking for the $3 for the cost of living, is because a lot of them ain't making much of nothing right now, and it's hard to hire anybody. It's hard to keep anybody. It's hard to make a living. I mean, they can't even afford their insurance. We tried to get insurance rates better. I went down to Capitol with Senator Yeager, and Connie went with me. We took all of our stuff and, trying to get family insurance affordable. And we have 3 people. We did have 3 people, or we still have 3 people on family insurance. 2 of them's elected officials. So I'm not counting them, but the one individual that works for the county that has family insurance don't get a paycheck, because it takes all of his paycheck to pay for just insurance.
Well, if we're paying the road department as much as we're paying the paramedics, we're in bad shape here in this county. I'm just telling you.
I'm just trying to be fair, and we're trying to get the budget where it needs to be, to where we're not operating in the red, to where we can retain the employees and be able to hire somebody We want to be able to hire our hometown people, the people that we know to take care of us. Instead
That's
of
why I say we can't afford to buy more property. We don't need to buy that property.
for the people that buy property.
Yeah,
We don't need it
thank you.
until we can afford to buy it. No matter how you put it out there on paper, how it sounds, whatever, we just don't need it right now because we can't afford it.
Okay.
If we can't afford to give them a raise, we can't afford to buy property.
How many county employees you got on payroll?
We have 200
It
and.
should be a done deal because that cost,
It is.
it should have been called.
Let's move past that. That's not on this right here. Let's move past that right quick, okay? We were on this right quick.
Stephen.
Hang on just a second, please. We have 230 something people. If I'm not mistaken, around 250 counting part-time.
Yeah.
Somewhere around that. So we have some part-time that works at convenience centers and things like that.
Are they getting the $3 an hour raise for part-time people?
This would be across the board.
No. That needs to be for our safety people only. Police, fire, EMS, EMTs, paramedics.
Yeah, yes.
You know, you need to treat it just like they did for Social Security. You get $20 raise, you take 33 back.
So that's where we were at. Yes, sir.
There's a program out there, it's called, Matt, you can probably help me with this a little bit better. He's on leadership over Matt Copeland, and it's called the tax freeze, and it's for people 65 and over. Is that correct?
Yeah.
We don't participate in the county right now. I called the Caribou's office today to find out why we don't participate. And she said it's really hard to do this, but I told her, could you put me through to somebody that can explain it to us, explain it to the constituents, to you all, how that works. So maybe we could participate in it. I'm soon to be 65 myself, retired, but I don't have much of an income either. I don't want to pay no tax on myself. So if she comes up here and somebody from Nashville, I put a call into them, they never called me back today. But they can explain to us this tax freeze and how it works. There's also a program now that you can participate in, but it's through Peggy's office. If you're disabled or on a low income, that you can get some sort of tax.
Lee, I talked to the commissioner in Sutton County, they do that.
They do that?
You gotta be 65-year-old. I think it's combined, theirs is combined income. I think it's less than $44,000 a year. And then it's at least 65-year-old, and then they got a freeze on their taxes.
They have to do it every year, though. That has to.
Well, I'm not sure.
For it every year, I think's what I read today.
I just did it.
So the freeze program, you apply for it one time, and that's it.
Yes.
The program that's with Peggy's office, you apply for it every year. The program that Kira's office would facilitate, the state sets the income limit, and it's already set for Overton County at $37,000 a year.
I'm not sure, would we have to do like is this a private act on that, or just a resolution?
There's a list, if you go to the comptroller's website, there's a list.
To do it every year, and the county has opted out of it every year. It comes around for the county to do, I think yearly, and the county has always opted out of it. I think it's the commissioners.
Have to vote.
We've never heard of it.
Never seen it.
Mr. Copeland addressed me last meeting.
I mean, I didn't know nothing about it until I called the commissioner in Putnam County about it.
Yeah.
And she told me that it was what they done was, we had to be $44,000 total income, or 44 and down, and 65 years of age. And they put a freeze on those, which is, but I'm not sure.
But would that revenue be paid by a different program, or is that gonna be put on the other people in the county?
It probably, that would be, yeah.
You would have to
Stop and think before you.
I know.
I don't know, that'd be a question, that's.
Then you need to sit down with Carabone and take it and see.
Well, they're going to come up and explain that to us if we
How come Carabone's doubling taxes already?
That's the state,
No, it ain't.
that's the state assessments, if you've seen anything the last couple of weeks.
It ain't.
So where we at on?
So, what I was asking, we was going to, so the motion last week was to take that back and look over it, and
That's what I come up with.
we was gonna take that $3 back and study it, look over it, and come back, and then, Connie was running off that 6%, today, and she went over it with me, and what I was saying, I mean,
I know that's not a,
we're
it's not a big,
$1 and we're not there where we need to be with.
but this is for right now. We don't have time to sit here and if you listen according to what Geraldine said, the lady she talked with CPAC, it has to be across the board. Until you do a desk audit on each position, and get each job up comparable where they need to. You're gonna have somebody come in and do the study on that and say, here's where we need to be, and then we'll have to figure out where the money will come from.
But you didn't say it has to be, right? You said they usually would try to.
Your mom said it.
Our CTAS representative now is Kaylee Walker, and that's what she told me.
That they try.
Huh?
That they usually try
That
to.
they usually always do. Because I repeated to her what I understood Stephen to say last week, that if we didn't give an across-the-board raise and some employee felt discriminated, then they could come back and follow discrimination. And am I saying this right, Lillian? Do you know about this? You what? The across-the-board raises. Does it have to be the same, or an employee who doesn't get the same raise as me can file a discrimination suit against the county? Is that right? They can.
Anybody
Not necessarily, anybody can sue.
She said it last meeting.
Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a committee meeting. There is not any decision going to be made on taxes tonight. These people are only going to make a recommendation to the county commission. They have asked that you be quiet. If you want to write down a question that you're going to ask later, you're going to have an opportunity. We're going to bring out a podium. I think there's a podium around here. Is that right? Yeah.
I think it maybe in there, it's not, it got taken off there.
That'll come back later, because after this, they've got to work. And this is going, you've heard them up here negotiating and talking back to each other. They're negotiating. They're trying to do their best for the county of Overton. So if you'll be quiet and let them work, and then after they finish and before they vote, they are going to let you come up to the podium and ask your question. Mr. Barlow is going to limit each one of you to talk, what is it, 2 minutes or 3 minutes?
3 minutes is what they had on.
3 minutes, he's gonna let you, and that'll be time. So that way, everybody can have an opportunity to talk and get out of here and let these people do their work. Does anybody doesn't understand that? Raise your hand if you don't understand.
You understand what pain you did?
Okay, so be quiet. No talking, please. If you want a piece of paper to write down your question, hold up your hand and we'll bring you a piece of paper to write down your question. Got it? Okay.
Answer the question?
Do what?
Can you answer their question?
I will answer their question. That's what I'm asking, okay? Now, if you want a piece of paper, come over here and we'll give you a piece of paper to write down your question. Okay, I'll turn it back over to the chairman.
Guys, please. Geraldine, there is a thing called a salary suit. That if a elected official thinks that what they asked for wasn't met, they can do a salary suit. Like if John that has asked for this because he desperately needed it or something like that, and he didn't get, he can do a salary suit. Same as the directors, everybody that put a budget in, if they didn't get what they needed, and of course, they can do that legally, that's their right.
That happened in Overton County about 35 years ago. About 35 years ago.
But anybody can sue over anything anymore. Somebody breaks in your house and they trip over your dog, they can sue you, that's all I'm saying. But anyway. Yes.
I'm Shane Walker, District 2.
Why don't you stand up, Shane?
Yeah, 'cause my voice don't carry, I don't talk that loud anyways. But if you can hear me, I'll talk to you. If you have any questions for me, I just want to say that I'm a commissioner for District 2, and they keep bringing up EMS and paramedics, and I do work out there in the service, been here for 23 years. I just want everybody to know that either way I vote, I'm not voting for my personal self. We have to, if you're a county employee, you have to declare a conflict, and I'm not going to vote just so I can get something myself and not benefit everybody. I just want everybody to know that. Thank you.
So that's the reason why I was at the 3 instead of that. I just don't think the 6 is where we need to be. I just don't think it would help matters to where it needs to be held. We'll still be struggling real bad next week, if not, then walking out.
If you look at this $2 one on here, it's really not that much more than the 6%. And then if you take the highway one out of that, would it not be less?
Yes.
Because initially, we wasn't gonna get the highway, right? And then when we went to the $3, it was added in, so they could give their people.
We were gonna pay for 2 of
We
it.
was gonna pay for 2, and they was gonna give their one that they always pay.
So you wouldn't have to on the 6%?
We wasn't gonna give them the 2 because we wasn't gonna give them the 2, but giving 911 $1.50, because 911 was gonna give $1.50 to bring theirs up 3, and then James was gonna give $1, and then they wanted to give the other $2 to make them 3. But no, originally we wasn't gonna give them the highway department any extra.
But in this one here on the 6%, it's .1286, and over here on the $3, it's still 1.286. How come that didn't change when the percentage dropped from $3 to 6%?
Which one is that? Because
That's on the highway and public works. Under the $3 and 6%, they're still getting the same amount.
Right, yeah, because nobody's told me to change that amount yet. So
That's why I need to go through the salary.
So if y'all do salary at 6%, then I would change it in here.
And that would drop it to
Yeah.
That would drop to 225, even more.
Yes, it down to like 220. I've already looked at it. But it just depends on if it's the 6% or whatever else y'all come up with. So as of right now, it is at the amended amount. And it was .085. It had been the .085 in the past. So if we, if you back it all the way back out, that's what it would be. And then if you increase it 6%, then
What's the difference in the $2 and the $3 and the penny if I don't, I'm not seeing it on here.
It's like 7, something cents, right?
Goes from,
227 to 235.
yeah, it goes like from a 14, instead of a 14.3%, it would be 19.58%. Is that right?
Yes.
So 5%, but what's the?
It'd be about 15 to 20%. The penny would be,
I'm just trying to find the total on here. Would it be, if I'm seeing the total,
According to the figure here, it'd be about 8 cents.
Look on the next page, it might help you, Stephen.
sorry.
No, that's okay. I may not be following where you're talking about.
Where am I at? That's the 3.
So, 8%.
These two are the totals, correct? From the $2 and the $3.
That's the total cost of salaries.
Total cost of salary. So it looks like it's 100. So that's 3 penny difference. So it's not, that's what I was talking about, it's 3 cents, 3 penny difference between a $2 and a $3. It's not a drastic amount, that's what I was talking. And see, what city paying $3 more than we do.
But we can't get enough funds. I mean, that's where we're struggling. If we can't get the budget
Well, according to this, it's actually from 7.
No, it's right.
He's from 235 to 260.
He's talking about.
I'm talking about the total, if you do a $3 versus a $2, it's 3 cents, or it's not even 3 cents, it's 2,
it'd be a third more.
According to this, it's 7 cents.
It'd be a third more.
it's 29.
Am I looking at it right, Connie?
So.
Oh, right here.
26.8. It's 2.18 pennies for a $2 versus a $3. 2 pennies.
It's 8 cents. 8 cents.
Well, I'm just going off these totals. It says total actual cost, total, or tax pennies, 26.86 for a $2, and then 29.04 for a $3. So that's 2.18.
What are you looking at?
The total tax pennies. But I'm going by the actual total with all the departments, solid waste, administrative, ambulance, and sheriff. The total pennies of a $2 raise versus a $3 raise is 2.18 pennies. Am I not correct on that?
Looking at a different sheet, that's why.
$2?
That might not add up.
$2 versus. Well, I apologize on that, because I was on the, it said $2, $3 for so you're right, 235. 235 minus, you come to that, I guess it's 7.
Yeah. We don't have budget.
So, I didn't understand, I didn't hear what you say. What do we do?
Ben Gregory, when I was asking him to go make a recommendation, send it to the salary committee, and look at the 6% over the 3% that we presented, or $3, and then see what that does to the bottom line, because that'll probably take the whole $1.50 out of 911, and the whole $2 out of the highway department, and that'll drop.
Well, they still,
That's right.
We can do that here.
they'll still get 6%.
You can make a judgment of doing that here.
But they can still get a 6%.
Yeah, let's do it for 6%. But we won't know the true rate here until this other comes out of public way and 911, we'll know what the recommended tax rate is.
See, this has the general fund, solid waste, and then the highway, so if you take the 12.86 and it was 0.85, so if you take that out, that would get that where it was. So 12.87 was like 4 pennies or something.
Yeah, take it down to 220.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So that would be down
But if you add 6% back,
what's the 6%?
if they do a 6%, are you doing the same, like, are y'all doing the same for every group?
We're just giving 60.
If you decide on 6%?
I was gonna recommend 6% to the salary across the board. But the highway department, that will probably cut them to where they won't get any, and 911 either, even though they both probably deserve it. But we gotta get it as low as we can get it, or it ain't gonna pass.
I'm trying to get you to where, I'm trying to get you to understand the employee, because I understand the 6%, you're talking less than $1, and we're still $2 and something less than what the city pays.
Yeah, we're not there yet, though.
We're not there. I'm just saying.
I mean, on the position.
It's something, but it's not enough for our, that's just my recommendation. Of course, I don't have a vote on it. I can just make a recommendation. I'm just trying to look out for everybody involved as well. I know we gotta have it as low as we can. We don't want to raise it up as much.
Well, we need to get it raised up where it needs to be, but
that's where
what I've been saying. What I've been saying, for me to say that $3 for each position, you know, that's not, yeah, it's not reasonable. I mean, and like you said, you got $3, somebody said that there's different levels, but of training on these positions, but all I'm saying, I don't have the education on it, and you're gonna have to get somebody in here. And I don't think anybody else knows exactly what these positions call for. You look at the state grid on them and see where they come to. You know, state's got a pay grade on what a officer 2 or a county 1. They got them broke down into those minute areas. But we need somebody to come in here. Here's our positions. Or we comparable countywide or statewide with these here in area location for a county our size, and that's how you're going to have to. That's how you'd be fair with it.
Yep.
And that's and all I was looking at was just the 6% across the board right now. Cost of living increase, which is needed.
It's desperately needed.
And since we've incurred debt on extra property and the lawsuits, and it's just I've had a lot of people tell me this is just not the right time to do this, spend this type of money. And
we need to look to give it more than 1% a year increase too.
Yeah, you can do that.
I don't feel like we need to cut the 911 dispatchers out or anything.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, I don't think.
That's probably the lowest paid county job there is, and one of the highest, and most stressed. Some of the calls they.
I just think it's-
I don't think we need to cut.
60% across the board with that, let the salary committee, go.
We can go over and see what it does for the county employees, highway department, and
It's on here. Is it on the pay scale?
No,
No,
because we don't do their salary. The highway.
no, I'm talking about all these government employees, what it would bring it up to. I mean, I think we went over that a minute ago, it brought it up 8%. So what's the motion?
I make a motion to send the salary committee, let them work on whatever we're gonna do and see what they recommend after the budget meeting. We got a salary and budget meeting next week.
Yes.
And then we can have the meetings together and both committees can work together on it. And
So you're making a motion to send and have salary and budget work together on this?
well, salary and budget both is meeting, what day next week, Tony?
Tuesday,
Next Tuesday. One of them's from 5, another 5:30 or 4 and 4.
4:30 and 5.
They'll both meet right after each other. And they can be combined, and the salary can recommend the budget, what they come up with, and then the budget, it'll be the budget, then you can either pass it on or reject it.
So the motion is sent to the salary.
Yeah.
Motion by Randall to send this to the salary. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Greg second. All right, discussions.
It's not for just setting one certain thing, it's just discussing all of it. Right?
Yeah.
We're not cutting nobody out, nothing, guaranteeing nobody nothing, just discussion.
Then it'll come back, send the salary, and then it'll come back to budget. Any other questions? Any other discussion?
The extra property that you bought, so that would be 10 more pennies that we would have to add.
You need to go on this.
We're on this right now, Sam.
I realize that's
We need to vote on this motion first.
We'll bring that up for sure.
good.
Does it have to be 6%? Can it be 5, 4.5? Written in stone, it has to be 6?
Just sending it over to the salary for them to work on it. They're passing it off to the salary.
Don't most raises, most people, when they get a raise, whether it be straight across the board or whatever, it's for what merit you do, what you can do, what you're capable of doing. You don't just give everybody the same thing straight across, that's wrong.
Guys, let's bring it back in. Any other discussion at the table? Lee Richards.
Pass.
Shane Walker.
Yeah, as long as it's just a discussion.
This is all, the whole thing. This has nothing to do with just ambulance services, the whole pay scale. Yeah.
Connie said you'd be included in on it.
Yeah. Greg Nivens.
Yes.
Randall Boswell.
Yes.
Geraldine Walker.
Yes.
So all four, Lee Pack. All right. Well, so if you're sending that over, then the next part, we can't do number 5. And then we can't do approving the salary schedule. So new and old business.
Right.
Okay.
So they're saying that we've already purchased property. So I'm saying we rescinded the minutes. We voted to rescind the minutes on that meeting you all had. So by rescinding those minutes, that whole deal is done.
You want me to explain it
Then
to you?
we have to go back. I don't know when you
Just
signed,
wait a second.
I don't know when you signed that, to buy that property, or with your special call meeting that you all had with the commissioners, but it was just wrong. It should have been in the afternoon or at county court. We should have voted on it at the county court. That's when it should have been, not in the middle of the week, not in the middle of the day, when everybody could attend, not when people were on vacation, when you knew those people were going to be on vacation. And the people that were gone and voted no. And I think you knew that. I'm just saying, that's just my opinion on it, but I just don't think we need to buy that property.
Okay, so now,
Keep that health department right where it's at, remodel the thing, we don't need to spend it. If we don't get that grant money, so be it. They'll give us extra money to remodel. They remodel the building, vote mention another building, temporarily remodel. Yes. You know, we're not made with money to do this.
now, I will, let me kind of explain this. Well, I'll let her explain that to you in just a second. But I need to talk for just a minute because, now that I get a chance to talk, I am not a crook.
I didn't say.
No, you did Please, guys, this is between us right quick. Just hang on. At the board meeting, you called me a crook. I'm not a crook.
You listen to the tape back, I never seen.
But now, let me go back here just a second now. You had a chance to talk, let me talk.
Later, you're not supposed to get mad.
We took and called a special call meeting because I had to straighten something out that was spoken wrong, and I had to do it as soon as I can because I thought that it was owed to every single person that the misinformation that we had be spoken the right and the truth. There was 12 people out of 15 here. I can't help that you're on vacation. You're on vacation every other week, and I can't help that. What's your travel, That's my job. Let me talk. Stop, please. I can't help it. I called the meeting. You knew that we were having a meeting. You, Greg, and I can't remember, the other person was not here. I didn't do it because I knew you were going to vote no. That has nothing to do with it. But there was nine yeses, 2 noes. And that was a legal meeting. And as soon as that legal meeting was over, it was binding. Miss Lily Ann, would you like to explain?
Yes, once you do not have to wait for the minutes to be approved by the county commission. Once the vote is voted, the majority, then that is the vote, and that's done. It's done business. You don't have to wait.
But it's the people's right for that to go before the full county commission.
It was.
To be voted on, and we rescinded those minutes on that.
That was
Yeah, you
illegal.
can't rescind it. You can't rescind it. The vote was 9-2. If you weren't here, I'm sorry, but we did have a majority of the county commission. We couldn't have held the meeting without it. You all know that. And 9 people voted yes, 2 people voted no, and that was what happened. We have a videotape of that meeting. Have you seen the video?
But the county commission, several people that voted yes for that rescinded their vote.
That was illegal. You can't do that. You were voting on
You have to rescind it at the county
The minutes
commission.
were supposed to approve those minutes. Approve those minutes, what meant to approve whatever he did. And
approval of the minutes are just ministerial. It's not.
Well,
It
then
doesn't
it's just wrong.
Well, I guess you just have to fuss with the state
I'm
law.
not trying to argue.
But
It's just going around things to get things done. It makes me mad.
But we've always spent money, we haven't really spent money until the minutes are approved the next meeting. And it probably should have been discussed with the legal. It should have been discussed with you first.
Well, the contract was signed, I think it was 13 days after the vote, after the majority vote at the special call meeting. And that contract is binding. I think there's a contingency in it that it has to be.
It has to appraise.
Appraised to at least the amount that.
But there's probably no other way we can get out of it, right?
No, oh no. Be quiet, please. No. Please. It would be a breach of contract.
And if they wanted to push it.
Yes.
If they wanted to push it.
Yes.
Well, the only thing I was looking at, we said we couldn't find any property.
I explained that.
You explained that we couldn't find any property. Well, I found 7 acres over here right across from,
Armory.
the National Guard Armory that's flat and level. They're wanting $450,000. We wouldn't have had to pay anything for it on that piece of property. That's $57,000 an acre versus $70,000. So that's $500,000 we could have saved on that. And I know I'm looking backwards.
No brainer.
But that would have cost the taxpayers a dime, maybe $10,000 more on the piece of property instead of $450-something thousand. But you could have bought that 7 acres. And what's nice about that piece of property, it's right there. It's flat. It's right there across. It's about a mile away from the other property, and it's right there across from the National Guard Armory. If we ever did have any type of pandemic come through again, the National Guard had to get involved. Well, you'd have the health department right there. And I know this is hindsight, but you need to start including the commission on
We looked at that. Remember I said we done a site study?
They didn't.
We looked at that. There's such a flood zone around there. If you look, that creek that runs around the whole property, runs down the side and around the back.
And it's not
There's 4 acres of flood zone.
It's not suitable.
There was just a little flat, and then it drops off all into a flood zone. And you know who used to own that before the owners own it now? The county. Oh, the county did. The county sold it. So we did own that piece of property at one time. But we looked at that, and I wanted to go to that, because I looked at that first. That was one of my first recommendations, because
it's in a flood zone.
Yes, half of that is in a flood zone, and it goes around the side and around the back.
It couldn't have been prepped to be
well, look how much money you can spend.
They're selling it right now for asking $57,700 an acre for it.
I asked for a price for it, but whenever, like I said, we done the site study, you'd have to do the building up of the land and all that. But I hadn't looked at it.
That's
but any other never owned it.
On that. Okay, after we had that meeting, we rescinded their vote several times. Why did you not talk to us before you signed the papers to, there was a problem?
No, Cindy, when the meeting was over, and I would like to talk to you about this, me and you, instead of in front of everybody, because what I have to say, I don't want to say in front of everybody.
Why?
Behind closed doors, they paid attention.
I wouldn't expect nothing.
Yep, just.
This is why, okay? And I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. All right? You voted yes. And that was your vote, and that was gonna be your vote. And then right after you, Darwin voted no. And then after the meeting, you're like, I want to rescind my vote. You do this a lot.
Well, the reason is.
You look around to see how everybody is going to vote.
Do you ever change your mind?
The reason is, you told us false information.
I told you the correct information.
That's why we had the other meetings, Stephen.
That's why that You voted yes after I told you the right information.
And
Go back and look.
since
on the video.
then, we found out we do not have access to 84. That's
You
why I
have-
rescinded my vote.
You have the access to the road.
I know that. You don't have access you need for another business.
You have a right of way in the back, and you ask the state to put it in.
Is there anything else on the older new business?
Any older new business, please.
I don't have any.
So do we have the next meeting July 16th? Is that the next scheduled? When is the salary?
It's scheduled the same day. Do y'all
What
want?
time?
We can be there.
We can do both of them.
Guys, I can't hear. Please.
We'll be there.
Salary meeting is at what time?
I'm not sure, but if you want to have them all together, we can do them both at 4:30.
The budget and salary at 4:30.
It makes it really hard for me to be here at 4:30.
Me too, I have to leave the woods there about 2 hours ahead of time to get here. Why can't you have it 6 o'clock like normal people when everybody gets off work? Don't do me a favor,
Why don't you have it where the whole commission can come and have a say?
for the whole county.
You can't go to bed at 8 o'clock.
It needs to go into the salary and budget committee.
Yeah.
Which one's making first, budget or salary?
Right now, it is scheduled just on the calendar. We had put Tuesday the 16th at 4:30 for budget. And salary was after, but I think salary needs to be before.
Salary next week.
Or before or at.
Can we reschedule salary at 5 and budget at 6? Because salary is going to take more than 30 minutes.
Sure. We haven't published it yet.
Can we, what is today's day? So you got 6 days, we're fine. Can we do salary at 5 and budget at 6?
5 o'clock, be okay? For you? Robert?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're on salary, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So budget will be at 6 on the 16th of July. And I'm gonna write down salary will be changed to 5. All right. We have no other business. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Well, I mean, we can answer questions. We're not voting on anything.
Yeah, I'll make it.
Have a second. Randall, any other discussions or anything? All four say aye.
Don't you all want to run for the county commission now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There'll be lunches at the seats open.
Yeah, there will.
There'll be a top seat to it. There'll be a top seat to it.
Are we not going to
Yes, ma'am.
ask questions now?
Yeah, I will take one at a time. If you could come up, state your name, where you're from, and if everybody, as long as everybody stays in control, we will answer questions. If it gets out of control, we're gonna end it.
Well, I'm not going to get out of control.
I'm just saying, if you, state your name, where you're from,
My name is Roberta Wagner. I'm from Livingston. I'm a small business owner. I'm a landowner. I'm a property owner. And my question is, how in the world can any commission, no matter how many people voted or didn't vote, go out and spend taxpayers' money and sign a contract for all that money and then expect taxpayers to pay for it without us having anything to say about it? That was one of my questions. My other question is on the county sheriff's budget. It was presented on live TV at a business here in town. And there was a lawsuit filed a few years ago. And I was told, whether I'm been told wrong or right, that the money that was sued did not cover it, and that has been implemented into the county budget as well. So my second question is, are we, as the taxpayers and as a small business owner and a resident here, am I, as a taxpayer, responsible for that debt as well? Those are my two most questions.
Yes. So, I'll answer part of that, and then I'll let some of them chip in as well, and the lawyer as well, because some of that pertains to the law. So, the proposal that we have on the table is to take $1 million from the interest that was made from where we have a grant in the bank. It draws interest. And so that is actually where, if I'm not mistaken, it was out of the debt service fund is where that is called, correct?
The interest earned in that account.
The interest earned in that account. That is what paid the $400,000 for the extra land. And it also moving $1 million over to help pay for, towards that lawsuit, so it did not come down to the individual people. This was interest earned from the money that was in the bank from that grant. This was the interest that was.
So the interest that was made was used for that purpose?
The interest made was used, this is what the proposal is on the table. So we don't have to throw the 30 cents on to the individuals, take that interest and move it over into an account to pay those payments. So we don't have to have it on the individual. That would save the 30 cents. And that was also, that money was used, that $400,000 for the rest of the land. So if you don't know what that was, there was a grant for $6.7 million.
I was told that it was a grant.
That's for a new health department, but we have a match for $432,000. That match was also paid for by a grant. So that was a grant that was given to us that was put it at right at $7 million for a brand new health department, and that covered that area of the land. And the extra land that went with it, that could be used for county property as far as we need to build a building. We can do a senior center there, an ambulance service is busting at the seams. It was going to cost $800,000 to build onto that last year, and how many bedrooms was it going to build? Well, 10 or 12 bedrooms on there. It's going to cost $800,000 just to add on. But that could be used for that, so it could be dedicated for county property use. But that was 400 and it was 880 for total. But with contingency is if it doesn't appraise for what it is, then
Well, it depends on who you get to do the appraisal, doesn't it?
Won't that cost a lot to get?
$448,000 for the rest of the property. All right, that 448 was going to be moved over from our debt service fund to cover that as well.
Okay, last but not least, will that also include for the health department better services? Because as a person that actually used that health department and found out that there's a doctor that comes in twice a month for 2 afternoons. When my NP retired, for 2 months, they didn't even have a nurse practitioner, let alone a doctor. I couldn't even get a mammogram. 2 months went by, and I kept trying to get a referral for a mammogram, and I couldn't get it from the health department because they didn't even have a nurse practitioner. So my other question is, like I just stated, does that mean we're actually going to get a real doctor at the health department? Or are we going to get proper services and a nurse practitioner there so that the people in this community, retired seniors like myself, that don't have marketplace insurance, because in the beginning I didn't. And I found the services to be very lacking. So my question on that is, if you're gonna spend all this money, use the grants, match everything, pay a ridiculous amount of money for a huge amount of land, are we gonna improve the services that go with that health department?
That is their government.
So you don't have.
I don't have any say so about that. Inside the health department. I do not have any control over the doctors.
I'm not saying you would have control. My question, let me rephrase. If we're gonna spend all this money and do all this, instead of remodeling what we have, if we're gonna do all that, is there gonna be, when purchasing and remodeling and doing all that, is there gonna be some sort of insurance that the senior citizens or the people that don't have marketplace insurance that need that health care, is there gonna be any insurance that we can give them?
Their goal is also to add a dentist. That is their goal, to add these services over there. They're going to be building more rooms to be able to help more people, to be able to expand. That is exactly the goal that they said that they had.
Well, that's basically what my concern is, because I guarantee you, nobody here realizes that there is a doctor that comes in twice a month for 2 afternoons.
I was there today. Got a tetanus shot. Stuck a rusty nail up through my foot.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. But if you need to see an actual doctor, you have to wait. You can't see a doctor. It's weeks. You have to make an appointment and wait weeks.
I can get you a number to somebody to talk to, but as far as me being able to control their doctors or stuff like that, I can't, but I do know the regional director there. They got a new one, her name is Summer Matthews, should be allowed to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Andy is retired. He was the regional director, but that would be Summer.
And do you honestly think that purchasing that much acreage was necessary?
Absolutely. And I tell you why, we do not have any land at all. We used to, and it was all sold. We don't have any place to grow. We don't have any place to
I didn't grow.
Exactly. Well,
But what I'm saying, the debt service fund is what helped pay for this. And I wasn't out there just throwing money up in the air. It ain't like I was out there doing this right here with our money.
Did we consider
We went to all these other places to look at land and the cost of that land and what it took to build that land up, to put that on. And I'm telling you, it was going to cost more to buy a small piece of property and get it to where it was usable than to buy the whole 12 acres. And they've already done the dirt work on half of it, but it was not like I was out here wasting our money. We done our studies. I had the State Department in here on this. They're not going to let me spend anything that is ridiculous. They are the ones that helped pick this out. The state of Tennessee was here, the architect was here. We done site studies all over the city, around the city limits.
You did?
Yes.
Well, one last thing, and I'll let the next person speak. I also know my neighbor mentioned that Mr. Carr, who owns thousands and thousands and thousands of acres, and there's several other landowners that I thought would be more than willing to volunteer and give the land. And I was wondering if you guys considered even doing that, speaking to people, the people that are born and raised here and have land and businesses and want to put into the community and want to give what's needed for this county. Did you guys ever consider asking anybody to donate land?
I have never asked anybody to donate their land, no ma'am, I haven't.
Okay.
We did look at all the properties around that was available, the easy lots and things like that. But as far as going to somebody and say, will you give me something, I haven't ever done that.
Well, I meant, not will you give me something, will you donate to your community? Will you donate this land and we'll put a plaque on building or that kind of thing. It was just an idea that was brought to my attention, and I thought, oh, that's a great idea, because there's quite a few people here. But as a taxpayer, my main concern is my property taxes. I'm already paying city and county. I'm paying thousands, and my only concern is that this 36 or 35% increase all at one whack is total insanity.
We were looking at 19 and a half is what I presented.
That's still
That
insanity.
was not to put,
Yeah.
that was, we was at 2.25 at one time.
But personally, do you think, can you afford to have your property taxes go up 36%?
Yes, he may.
That'd be $700 a month for mine. That's a lot. That is a huge amount. And there's a lot of this is a retirement community. These people cannot afford a 35%, 25%, or even 17%. We were all hoping, and I'm speaking for everyone, I hope it's all right, that if we're going to have an increase, then it needs to be what we need for the county, but not to the extreme, that it's going to put a financial strain on all these hardworking, retired people that own property. Nobody wants to go into foreclosure because they can't afford their property tax. Why is it only
It's not my goal to put stress on anybody, but we have been operating in the red for a while.
Why is that?
So let's buy some land.
Why is that? That's about money management, is it not?
It's before me. We were in the red.
So you inherited?
I'm telling you the truth, okay? When I walked in here, I walked into somebody giving a $2 raise without the money to pay for that $2 raise right before I took office. That, I'm telling you the truth. We give it out of a bonus, and I have asked several times, how we going to pay for that $2 raise without the money coming in to support that $2?
Well, that would
And
be.
yes, we, by law, have to have 3 to 6 months expenditures in the bank to operate. Because we only get from October, we take in money from October to February. By law, we have to have at least 6 months expenditure, or 3 to 6 months expenditure. We haven't been at that 3 months. All I have tried to do.
Other ways to cut the budget?
We have, yeah.
There's gotta be conservative.
This is what we did. We met as a group twice, 2 days in a row. They cut the budget. That was their goal, was coming in and shave everything down that they could. They did cut the budget. They cut one thing. Out of 2 days of looking at the budget, they cut one item, and that was my travel. And that was it. And that this is.
You're lucky you get travel. I don't get travel.
This is for my conferences that I have to go to, my hotels that I have to go to.
Well, then it's a Motel 8 instead of Hilton.
Where they tell me to go. I'm not out here, I'm not going out here and blowing people's money. That's what I do.
$4,500.
But I leave, listen, I leave from home 4 or 5 o'clock of the morning so that I don't have to pay for a hotel the day before the meeting. I do that on my own.
You get paid enough.
That's why I think you're totally right.
I knew what I was getting into when I took this job, to try to help straighten it out for the people, and that is what I'm doing. I knew it was going to be hard.
So what have you cut? Instead of saying.
What have I cut?
Yeah, and you want $400,000 for a piece of property.
I think we're mistaken. I'm not in control of setting the budget. That is the job of the county commissioner. I'm not in control of raising and lower taxes. That is the job of a county commissioner. I can make a suggestion. That is all. I do not have a vote at all. That is, I'm the overseer of the budget once it's set. But it is not my job to raise taxes, lower taxes, to do any of this thing. I can make a suggestion, That is it. I can tell you what we have to operate, that is it. It is not my job to set the budget. That is the county commissioner's job, that is their main job. Connie is the budget director.
And you get with her to make that budget, right?
Connie works with the county commission and myself,
Yeah.
but she is hired and fired by the county commissioner, not by me.
Okay.
She is not, we are supposed to, listen, the county commissioners are not my boss. And I am not their boss. But this is the thing, we are supposed to work together. And we haven't been working together since the day I walked in.
You're supposed to work for us.
Okay.
We're supposed to work together for the better of the people.
Now, this law
And
says
who is the better of the community? Us.
there's a difference between settlement and judgment.
Now, that's a Lily Ann question.
Yeah, I know. I've got more than you too. They done a settlement. It was homicide. That's considered murder. Why are we paying for those guys over there to not be in trouble? They should have been a judgment. It should have went to court. But they settled. The county settled with it.
Once the settlement was made, it became a judgment. It's a judgment.
I think the way the lawsuit reads, we read every word of it, every word of it. They should have been
I can only
judged.
tell you what the law is, a judgment.
Well, I know what the law is.
Okay,
They should
well, I
have
don't
been
need to answer your
judged. And I got one more than that. That you said, and I can prove this.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the first part.
Okay, the minutes. You sat right up here and you said that the minutes would have to be, so a paper would have to be filled out. You would have to approve anybody to look at them. And now, that little girl down there is taking the blame for what you done. She was a little Harris girl, I don't know her last name, Stephen, but she, yeah, you do, I've got every bit of it on tape.
Commission minutes.
The minutes.
The minutes of the previous county commission.
Yes, all of them.
But that's on video.
You plainly said, sitting right there, that we had to fill out a paper, and Kathy Smith filled out one, so did Betty Lou Dean. Or Lynn Dean. So we could go in and see those minutes.
No, minutes. Yes, it was.
It was for the minutes, it was, Stephen, I know what I'm doing.
Oh, no,
I went up there to get the paper, and the little girl, look, no, wait a minute, I won't say this.
Okay.
The little girl looked for her. And she couldn't find it, so she gets on the computer and looks. I got a tape of it if you want to see it.
It's okay.
And she was looking for it. She said, "Oh, you want to speak?" I said, "No, I want to see the minutes." And then she looked back at the computer again. She said, "Well, I made a mistake." Said, "I misunderstood Miss Lily Sales here." Well, she didn't misunderstand it, and that kid ain't gonna take the blame for it.
I think, Ms. Lewis, what she was thinking, they had passed a resolution to be able to speak at a court meeting, that you have to come to my office and fill out a piece of paper. It was recommended that you first come to a committee meeting, and because the committee meeting is where they do the discussions and way things are going.
No,
done.
we got one of those too. That's not what we're talking about. Me and Betty come and wanted to look at the minutes. And, your secretary told us, she said, "Here, you have to fill out these papers." She gave us those ones.
For a minute, I think she was thinking she was wanting to come speak.
No. We went up there and got our papers, they written them out to us. We went back for the minutes.
Mine's handwritten, she done it.
She handwritten, and she told us, she asked us for our driver's license, and Betty said, "What do you need my driver's license for?" And she said she had to make a copy of them. Betty said, "You're not getting my driver's license."
The minutes, Stephen, the minutes of all the meetings, even the bad meetings, that we don't know nothing about.
Hang on, guys, please. So there is a law. There is a law that you're allowed to come in and ask for public record. you have to give time.
Well, I've got time, I've done.
Well, I was just saying, you have to give the person time, because she also has a job to do, and she's gonna try to get your stuff done too. So if I'm not mistaken about this law, you get, the first hour, and then you have to pay per page?
This is,
Okay.
she's talking about minutes. You don't have to do anything to see the minutes of the court except go down to Ms. Luper's office. She keeps.
I know this, you sat right there and told us to get it.
I never.
Did she not say that, people?
No, is Ms. Luper the public records coordinator?
She is the county clerk.
I know that, but by the TPRA, the Tennessee Public Records Act, we're supposed to have a records custodian and a public records request coordinator.
Yes.
Is she both of those
Yeah, that's down
positions?
her office.
Then it would be nice if Ms. Taylor, that's her last name. I don't believe it's her fault, but she hasn't had proper training. And I'm not blaming her, but when I came in, she didn't understand and told me she'd email minutes to me. They didn't show up. I pointed out to her that on the website, there's minutes from May 2023. And what? And it was an actual Word document. It wasn't even in PDF, so that was taken down after I pointed that out. And then I was told, oh, okay, and I called again, and then I was told, oh, you have to fill out a form. Never emailed it to me. Then I came back up here, and I live down in Richmond, by the way. That's a good little distance. And so I came back up, they gave me the phone. I said, wait a minute, the Public Records Act says I can look at this during business hours. I'm supposed to have a place I can sit and review it, and the records custodian can supervise it. Look, I don't have to pay 15 cents a page unless I want to have a copy, that sort of thing. And it says reasonably, let's see, I quote the words here. And if practical, frequently requested records should be routinely posted online. You have 2 tabs on the website that say commissions, one for committee minutes, and they've never been posted. That's what she's talking about. It's the 2-page thing, and I believe where that came from is.
all of them.
No, I know, all of them. But what I'm saying is, I think where she came up with the attorney thing, I was told that in order to get the records, the commission minutes, that I had to fill out the form, and then they would be.
That's not true.
Well, I'm telling you
Go down to Ms. Luper's office.
but that's
You
not
said
what
it.
she knows. I'm saying this is a communication problem. It's also a lack of training by your employee. And so that's where some of this is coming from. But what the other employee told me was, and then it has to go to the county attorney for approval for me to see the minutes. I'm just telling you, that's what we were told.
And you
That's
said
where this is coming
right
from.
The other employee, are you talking about down in this?
The other employee in her office, I don't know what her name was.
Down in whose office?
It's Victoria.
In Mr. Barlow's office.
Office, Victoria
Barlow's
Luper.
office. Taylor sits at the front, the young lady, correct? Very nice.
Yeah.
I just think she doesn't have enough training. She doesn't know.
Mr. Barlow is her supervisor.
I know, that's what I'm telling you. And like I said, it has nothing to do with.
She's taking the
wonderful. Somebody else came over.
Probably never had anybody come in and ask for that.
I think that she didn't. So then the second thing was someone else came up when it came back up here again. And she said, oh, yeah, you have to fill out the form and then something about, and then it goes to the county attorney who has to approve, you see in the minutes. That's where all that came from. I'm not blaming Taylor. She didn't know.
She didn't know.
And she probably has not been asked for them.
Right.
But when you go to the website, which is supposed to be for us to find stuff out about, and there's no list of committee and no minutes at all, you have to come up here and try and request them. And then you're kind of given the runaround. That's the way it felt. You can understand.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that little girl is not going to take the
That's
blame
my,
for
can
what
you
she
fix
does.
it, is what I'm asking. Can you put the minutes on the website?
And also, there's
As soon as we get minutes, it will try our best to do.
And the committee, and the list of committees as well, because you have the tab for that. The 22 committees we have in a county of 24,000 people.
Now,
I have a
we
list.
don't have an IT person. We have somebody that's contracted and he tries to help us.
Is that Stone Creative?
I'm sorry.
Is that Stone Creative that you contracted with?
Mm-hmm. That's what it says.
Who set up the website? It says Stone Creative. You have an IT person, you don't.
Our IT person is contracted, he does it by the job.
So he does by the job, not by the hour.
It's Buckeye, Tyler Maxwell with Overton Events, he's with Overton.
And was that put out for bid?
I'm sorry now?
Was that contract with him put out for competitive bid, or just?
I mean, he doesn't charge, but, it ain't even $10,000.
Okay.
Anything under 10,000, but I mean, it ain't enough. It's in the budget.
What's it take to get him to finish the website is what I'm asking. Is it still creative that needs to go back? Is there a boilerplate?
We had an issue with it before because it was through Tennessee Tech and we never could get a hold of them. We never could get them updated. I mean, it still had old pictures of.
It has old stuff on it.
And we're still trying to get that updated.
So should we go to someone else?
I want to tell you something else. Ken Yeager's campaign manager told me yesterday evening, Tennessee hadn't raised taxes in 10 years. So where's it coming from? It's coming from units. That's sure what he told me, standing right up there on that square.
They get taxes from us, yes.
Yeah, but he said Tennessee hadn't raised the taxes, and that's what all has been hollering. Tennessee raised it. They did not do it.
No,
Tennessee didn't raise it.
About Tennessee raising it.
No, they didn't.
The Tennessee hadn't, no. They get 7% of every, that 9.5 sales tax rate, they get 7% of that, leaves us with 2.5.
I know.
And then half of that goes to schools, and then we're splitting half with solid waste.
And there's something else. I want to know how many commissioners talk to each other before any of these meetings. I know one has talked to one. So have y'all talked?
Well, doesn't Congress do that? That's backdoor dealing.
No, you don't understand what I'm saying.
It's legal for state.
It is.
And it's not for county.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Local
Okay, good.
government are not allowed to do it. They're allowed to talk to the county executive, the county mayor. They're allowed to talk business with him now.
But not each other.
They're not supposed to talk with each other.
And she's saying they
Well,
are,
they're doing it.
but you don't know.
I know that I do know that.
This far,
I brought it up.
he is saying I don't have personal knowledge of it.
You don't know that I love that.
No, I ain't talking about you. I know you did. I know you don't. You don't even call your own mom. I know that. Nivens called your day. And he never should have done it.
They know who they are. I'm not calling anybody out.
I will.
I work with them. But I can call them out when I catch them. I call them out when I catch them. But I have to have proof before I call them out, or I won't. Because hearsay or something like that, I can talk to them about it. But if I don't have proof, I'm just spitting in the wind.
Geraldine, did he or did he not call you about these meetings? Nivens. Remember, you told me Nivens had called you that day?
I think there's a misunderstanding.
I don't want to hear from you.
You talk to me.
I'm not listening to him say that.
You can discuss
He asked me a
that.
question, let me answer it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I have talked to other commissioners, not about how we vote.
Exactly.
We can talk to each other about things. We just cannot talk about how we're gonna vote on something or try to convince them how to vote on
What's this
something.
budget committee? Why is he up here? Not just the budget committee. Why are you reporting?
Because let her finish, please.
It's over. We adjourned, he's a commissioner, so.
As a matter of fact, I was at the dump the other day and somebody asked me a question out there and we started talking and Patrick came up. So we talked about things that's going on. But as far as how we're gonna vote, no. I have never, and nobody else has ever asked me to vote a certain way on something.
I know.
And I have never changed my vote based on how somebody else voted. But, no, yes, we have talked about things that's going on. Yes,
I know
we have.
you wouldn't do that, but they are, some of them it is. That's why I'm saying that, so that needs to stop.
Okay, I'm Debbie Allen, and I'm from Hardy's Chapel. And what I'm gonna say, I hope, if you get mad, you just have to get mad, okay? But you sat there right now and said, when you took office, you were having problems coming up with how to pay the $2 raise across the board that was handed down to you. Well, how did you come up with that? Now you're wanting $3. Duh. So somebody is lying. And up there at the county court meeting, they voted not to do the property tax, that we would do a sales tax.
Thank you.
Okay? And then they also voted not to purchase the property because we couldn't afford it. But when we come to the budget meeting, all that changed.
It's already bought.
Property's already bought. The property tax was going up. Point blank, no other way out of it. So either the commissioners are lying, or you're lying, or all of them are lying to us taxpayers. So that's the only way you can say it. Somebody is lying. A lie is a lie, and the truth is the truth. And my mom and daddy always told me, if you're not telling the truth, then you're telling a lie if you're talking.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It ain't worth going to Let me explain this. When I asked how we're gonna pay for it, they said, we're gonna have to raise taxes. Then I said, then you need to raise taxes. And they said it would look bad on last year's administration if I raised taxes last year. And I said, it was last year's administration that did it. So they put it off on to this year.
Yeah. Well, how did you pay for the $2 one that you said you walked into?
We're having to cover that now?
Yeah, now you're wanting $3. So if you couldn't pay it then, how in the Sam Hill you gonna pay it now?
That's the reason why I'm asking before giving, to raise the taxes to where it needs to be.
Yeah, and the taxes don't need to be up here.
I don't want to raise the taxes up here, but I have got to level the playing field to where it has to be.
We come to these meetings and we're told one thing at this meeting, we go to the next one, and it's all different. It's all different.
At the board meetings, that vote that they had, they couldn't do that. It was illegal.
Well, if it was illegal, why didn't you stand up and say, folks, we
I was
can't
in
do
the
this?
business of fixing to have a heat stroke.
Well, no wonder. You knew it, but you thought everybody would get too hot and get up and leave.
No.
But we didn't.
That is absolutely wrong.
Why can that wheel tax not be raised? I talked to some.
It has to go on the revenue.
No, hold on here a minute. I talked to some business people. They think that that would be the fairest way to do this. Raise that wheel tax sticker and put that part of it in the county budget and leave the rest of it to the school.
Can't do it for 2 years.
Well, then
it has to be on a ballot for the people to vote.
We never voted on the other 2 raises, only one. Only one.
On the wheel tax,
And on the
by
wheel
law,
tax.
it has to go on the ballot to be voted on by the public.
You need to knock that $20 off our wheel tax sticker.
Okay, yes ma'am, I'm sorry.
Thank you. You commissioners, we elected you, you have more power than what you know. Just remember that for the future.
Hey Stephen, can I ask a serious question, a business side question? What's the profitability off the health department we have over there now? Does the county make anything off that?
No, we cannot. Whenever they move out, we will get the building back.
So here's my question about that, from my business side of it. So we make nothing off that, all we own is the land and the building at this point, so it's an asset to the county.
It serves a purpose for the.
Exactly right. So with the new one going in, it's gonna be the exact same way. The land and the building will be an asset to Overton County, but there's no revenue stream coming back in off of the health department itself as far as clinic visits or anything like that.
But here's what we're looking at. It serves a very needed purpose for the people of the county. And also, here's what we're also looking at is whenever they move out of that building, we take a hold of that building and that becomes county property. We can take that building and sell it and pay off the rest of the land. We can take that building and use it for an office.
We just built it for what?
I know you have showed up with a noose to hang me, but I am trying to be honest. I'm trying to discuss business. This is the last question. And we're done. This is the last. I will answer yours and we're out. Okay, I'm sorry.
Howard.
We're not gonna be disrespectful.
You know what, if you ain't got time to listen to people talk, you don't need to be in the office hours.
Journal.
That's right. You work for us,
I know.
we don't work for you. Let me tell you something. What we, for the people, by God, you work for them, that's just like this damn tax you try to put on everybody, just 30% of the landowners, that's bullshit. And you know that. Every one of you do. Let me tell you something. You need to take a cut in salary. How about that? Cut 50% of your salary. How about that there?
But the committee, we don't need all these people, all these committees in a county that only has 24,000 people.
22 committees.
Cut committees. That's a lot of the budget helping going back into what we really need.
And tell the truth about what they pay.
And is sales tax not on the table at all?
It will
Sales tax,
2 years from
it
now.
has to be voted on and voted on and be done for 2 months.
We can't change it, a vote can be pushed forward and have a budget that we just.
No.
Why is
And
that?
we can only go to 9.75, we're at 9.5.
That's what Cookville is, and we already pay it.
Cookville's more than.
But 9.75 is the most that you can do in the state.
But why can't we do it for 2 years? There's some statute?
Yes.
Could you?
It is the law of the state of Tennessee that you cannot, it has to be voted on by referendum.
Says what he's saying.
Yeah,
County
what is
attorney
it?
should be able to.
Yes, that is correct. The state of Tennessee limits the amount of sales tax.
May I ask?
And it has to go for, it has to be on the ballot for referendum. And there's a timeline.
Should we not do emergency voting or
How is that, how can it
anything?
only be 9.75 in Tennessee?
What law is
That
it?
is our cap. That is.
That's the state of Tennessee's
I think
cap.
you got a little common
That is
sense.
our cap.
When you go to the budget salary committee, what's a bank do when you buy something you
Another
can't afford?
county is to,
You and Reynolds, I talked to both of y'all.
We can only match what the city of Livingston's done.
What's a bank do when you buy something you can't
you
afford?
just said in the state of Tennessee.
What's a bank?
I'm sorry.
Then what?
What is the state
Then what
of
happens?
Tennessee cap? Is
An auction time put up within 30 days.
Yes.
So why ain't this
State
much
of
done
Tennessee
sold?
cap is 9.75.
And yet Sevier
That extra
County is
land's up there sold.
11.25.
I'm sorry.
And yet Sevier County is 11.25.
And this is another thing. This is another thing. But this is another thing, him saying that they wouldn't let propose
I don't know how he got
There
it.
was 14 acres proposed to him for $35,000 an acre that I can show you.
But all I know,
Because I own the
from what I've
property.
been told about the state, is
14 acres, $35,000.
What's the state law?
I got a black and white.
9.75 is what as high as we can go.
I was going too far.
I know, but I
But
want
it's
to know
county
what
money.
state law is.
What's the statute that speaks?
The state.
You don't have to ask her.
That's what I'm
If
asking.
you want to put your name and your.
I ain't put my name on nothing, you know who I am. I'm asking a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So. And he's already wanting to buy it. He's already wanting to buy it for, he's already wanting to buy it.
Because my daughter came to me, and it was
Buy an acre of it for a convenience center, that's it.
First of all, I am for first responders and other workers to receive competitive pay. In recent meetings, I've repeatedly heard how badly Overton County needs our hard-earned money. So as incredibly difficult as this is for me, as I don't share this with my immediate family, much less everyone here, I feel I should. My roots are in Overton County. They go back for as many generations as we can track. I was raised in a large, single-income household. My dad worked for the county of Overton, then for the city of Livingston for my entire childhood up to a few years ago. My parents taught us to love God, to love our country, and to work hard, that nothing is free. Someone is always paying for it. We couldn't afford any fudge rounds. We had to work in the barn and garden for our food. We went without many things, but we were content. My husband and I are self-employed. We work 6 days a week, often from dawn to dusk. We live on a very tight personal budget. We rarely dine out, never owned a new vehicle. Most of what we own, including the clothes we're wearing, is secondhand. We have no benefits, no retirement, no SSI, no sick days, no vacation pay, etc. Last year, we thought we had a good year. We were able to catch up on our delinquent property taxes and put some back into our business and help out a family in need. Then we filed income tax. We had to take money from our home equity to pay it and haven't been able to pay it back yet. We pay taxes on what we buy, sell, make, and own. And if there's anything left to give our children when we die, it will be taxed again. It feels like our American dream is being ripped out of our calloused hands and given to those who will not work. What keeps me going is a dream of owning a few acres and having a mini farm, like when I was a child, and one day retire and live off the land. But I'm realizing now, especially with the massive tax increase, I wouldn't be able to pay taxes on it if I did get it when I'm too old and worn out to keep working. Sometimes, my husband and I ask each other, is it even worth it? Why are we even trying? If I had the authority, and I realize no one person here does, I would go through every department, every line on that budget, and I would cut. Yes, people would be mad. But there's no reason Overton County should have one of the highest tax rates in the state. I've seen the aftermaths of towns that keep raising property taxes, hurting low-income, widows, young families, elderlies, business owners, and farmers. Run down houses and businesses because owners were taxed to death and no one will buy because they can't afford the repairs and taxes either, and they're left vacant. Everyone that can leaves, and all that's left is poverty and crime. You may be trying to make our county better, but is it worth breaking its very backbone and spirit? And I do appreciate, I know you guys are working, and I watch you, I listen to you, and I know some of you really care and are really trying, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
So I've got something I'm gonna say. I was gonna say this. I come to commissioner meeting, gonna say it. He said the meeting goes. I'm talking to y'all, not them. He said that's the cheapest land that was proposed to the county. Was that piece of property down there? Nobody knows this but me and him and one other commissioner now. That was 14 acres presented for $35,000 an acre. Half the price. You know what the response was? The grant would not approve it because they wanted it within the city limits. Well, this extra $430,000 that's been spent ain't getting paid by the grant. That's coming out of another fund that you're collecting the interest off of, that you're saying the lawsuit's been paid off of interest. But you're going to raise the taxes to get the money back in because you got to have 3 to 6 month expenditure. The interest ain't paying nothing. You want to know what the response was? Other than that, I'd like to buy 1 acre for an Allen's Convenience Center. Land was offered.
You offered the old Allen sawmill up 14 acres. That's right.
14
But they wanted it down here for people that.
I'm not talking about for the grant money. That was the grant money. But you spent $432,000 extra because of the judgment you made. Yes, you brought it in front of the commissioners, and they did vote on it. But you're saying you gave them all the information you had. You did.
I mean, you had no other choice.
And why now?
That's why you said I'm not gonna go to jail.
The foolish person was that only took out $2 million liability insurance policy for this whole county. We've got small businesses in this county that carry $5 million.
She.